understand their competitive position, and if so, we need to modify the competitive position to make sure they can thrive and survive long term. I am not interested in creating one and done companies, folks who win one opportunity and they're done. And I see a lot of that uh, circulating today. There's a lot of welcome to my channel. My name is Curtis A. Merriweather Jr. In 2020, I was named a game changer by the White House Policy Advisor for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And I want to serve as your government contracting coach and mentor. Now, the goal of this channel is to help entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs to overcome common business challenges. Now, the way we help with this is through education, training, consultation, support services. Now, our services are unique because it's based on 26 plus years of progressive experience in the government contracting space, and we've also invested heavily in our advanced education. As many of you know, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Engineering, an MBA, a Master's of Science in Project Management, and I've just completed the requirements for my PhD. So we're going to be able to talk about the theoretical as well as the practical lessons learned. I'm going to give you tools, techniques, and tips that will hopefully shorten your learning curve as you pursue your government contracting or entrepreneurial journey. Now, I do encourage you to give me a follow on social media, especially on Instagram, and also using the URL on the screen, navigate to our website and learn more about the 8-figure GovCon and the community that we're creating of government contractors just like you. Now, our community consists of both new as well as seasoned government contractors, all taking unique and diverse government contracting journeys, and we want to travel along and help one another along the way and do it in a positive, uplifting, in a communal fashion so we can each learn from each other. Now, I do guide 2 monthly Zooms with my team. They're led by me, not led by students. And I do Q&As. We do a bunch of interactive sessions so we can employ a lot of techniques and tools and exercises that's going to help you on your government contracting journey. I think recently I even gave my students a book list of some of the things that helped shape me as an executive. And I would love to share that kind of insight with you if you decide to join us in the 8-figure GovCon community. Now, if you want to just go directly to our store, you can go to 8figuregovcon.com and /store. You can go directly and you can look at the courses either a la carte or purchase the bundle. Now, if you're new to government contracting, you may not be new to business, but you may be new to government contracting. I do encourage you to look at the 8-figure GovCon 5X Mastery Bundle. Now, when we make updates to the curriculum, which I'm getting ready to make some updates based on feedback I've gotten from the students, we want to make it even simpler than we've already made it. As we make updates, once you join the 8-figure GovCon family, as long as the platform is up and available, which it will be for quite some time, I don't see myself not doing this. So long as the platform is up and available, you will have access to that content and any updates we make to the modules along the way. Okay, so you will be forever part of the 8-figure GovCon community. And I welcome you. I think we're doing some great things. We got a lot of students that are winning work. We're having some testimonials come out soon. I'm going to start curating those. We're having a lot of wins in our community, and I'm really enjoying the growth of my students. I made it a pledge that I'm going to raise up brand new multimillionaires in 2023 and 2024. That's my commitment. And so I'm teaching them how to do just that, how to build scalable businesses. But enough about that. Let's get ready to get into the topic for today. But before I do, if you have not already, I want you to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. So anytime I produce new content, you will be notified immediately. I get your comments, I get your DMs. I appreciate that because you guys help me curate new content to address your needs. Now, the content I give on YouTube, as you know, is free. I do not charge, even though we're thinking about doing a community on YouTube for a nominal fee. Look for that in weeks to come. It'll be less than $9.99 a month, and there'll be exclusive content there. You'll see that start coming out sometime in April if everything goes as we have planned. So you will be able to join the exclusive YouTube community, and we will give some exclusive interviews and conversations that will not be available to everyone else. However, the best and easiest way to get a hold of me and interact with me, of course, is being a part of the community. I make myself accessible to our members so we can help them navigate their government contracting journeys. And all of them look unique and diverse, and that's great. So there's no one way to do this. So part of the versatility that I believe that my community offers is, regardless of how you're coming to government contracting, will be to find the most effective way for you, because it's not a one size fits all approach. So, I always say information is free, but strategy is not. So one of the things you get when you join my community is I'm going to give you access to the strategies, the tips, and the techniques. You can go on the internet and you can find a lot of information. I'm not going to tell you all the information you found on the internet that's going to be valuable or helpful or legal or ethical or any of those things, but there's a lot of information. But what you're going to get from me is you're going to get FAR compliant, ethical, legal information, and I'm going to give you the strategy. I won't just talk from this position and not tell you how to do the things I'm asking you to do. And in some cases, we're going to learn collectively, because I have students that come to me in areas I know nothing about, and I'm very honest with them. I know nothing about that, but we're going to learn this together, because I'm going to learn enough about it to help you put together a strategy to win. But that aside, let's jump into our topic for today. I want to talk about the 4 keys to government contracting strategy. I want to talk about the 4 keys. I really could have talked about the 4 keys to positioning, because what I often find is new government contractors have not firmly positioned themselves in the market to win. They immediately jump on sam.gov and they want to put in a contract bid, which I'm not discouraging. I think there's some value in that. However, I normally try to encourage my students to really assess where they are in the market, understand their competitive position, and if so, we need to modify the competitive position to make sure they can thrive and survive long term. I am not interested in creating one and done companies, folks who win one opportunity and they're done. And I see a lot of that circulating today. There's a lot of quote unquote instructors out here, and there's a lot of folks that are new in the space. And for that, I'm appreciative that government contracting has gotten more popular. However, I am not particularly fond of how many people are diluting the art and the craft of entrepreneurship, and just government contracting in general. You have a lot of folks coming into the space looking for a shortcut. And as we know, most know, there are very few shortcuts in life, especially in business. When you start seeing shortcuts, you're normally going to see unethical, and you're going to see behavior that teeters on the line of being illegal. But in this space, I really want folks who are going to appreciate the art and the science of entrepreneurship, and the vehicle that we're using on this platform is government contracting. But there is a variety of ways to make money, and government contracting is just one of them. So whether you're a government contractor, whether you're an entrepreneur, the frameworks that I'm going to teach you will enable you to become a serial entrepreneur, because they're based on robust business practices, techniques, tools, strategies that can be applied to most businesses. So I'm going to first build you a strong business foundation, and then we're going to layer the government contracting pieces and nuances on top. But we have to build a very solid foundation to begin with. So you're going to get a lot of the business fundamentals that you may not have gotten if you don't have a business degree or MBA. We're going to lay that groundwork. So I got all the education so you don't have to. So we're going to lay that groundwork so that you can scale up. So we're going to build a solid foundation. You cannot build a skyscraper on a slack or a thin foundation. And I think that's what discourages people. They want to just jump immediately to bidding, and you haven't built the foundation. You cannot build a 90-foot skyscraper on top of a house foundation. It's just not going to work. And that's why I'm seeing a lot of government contractors crash and burn, because they may have built something, but it's not sustainable. So I want to help you build a sustainable business. Now, I didn't mean to belabor that. Let's jump into what I want to talk about. But I want to talk about positioning. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about, not all, but some of the things I'm going to talk about are some of the major things you need to be considering. Of course, I can only cover so much on YouTube, but I want to cover some things that I need you to start considering to just make sure you're properly positioning yourself in the space. You know, I use the old GPS example. Before we had GPS, we had maps. And I remember as a kid, my father would be planning out a trip and he would pull out the map. He would put it on the hood of the car. He would find out where he was trying to go. He would find out where he was, and then he would map his course using typically a yellow highlighter or orange mark or something to denote the path he was going to travel. And when he got off track, he would go back and he would look at that mapping and reassess his course and get back on track. So here's some things I need you to begin considering, because more than likely you have not, especially if you're new to the space. You probably have not thought about these things, but these are some things I need you to consider as you start working to map out your specific strategy. You have to come up with a unique strategy, unique to your firm. We're not building replicas and copycats. We're building original business models based on the unique characteristics of you, team members on your team, staff, employees, as well as any real capabilities that your company is in the process of developing, because a lot of companies come to me who have no past performance, and that's quite okay. We walk through how to put that framework in place and build on it. So I don't care if you've been in the space for 0 days or 20 years. Some of the things that I'm going to share with my students just revolutionizes their business and just takes them up a whole nother notch. But I'm a practitioner in the space, but I didn't mean to ramble. So let's move forward. So one of the things we want to talk about first, I'm going to introduce a new term to many of you, and that term is capture management. And I'm going to read the definition. Capture management is the process of gathering insight, building connections, developing competitive intelligence, and strategizing how to win a future request for proposal opportunity, also known as RFP. Couple keywords here. Process. Government contracting is a process. So I tell people government contracting is not hard. You just need process. The second thing you need is strategy, because your service offerings may be different from your competitors. And so you may need to do some things slightly different based on if you're a product-based company or a service-based company. My sweet spot is services. I think in a video I talked about if I could go back in time, I would have started a product-based business. That was based on some hindsight's 2020. I'll even further elaborate. I would have a product and service-based company if I could go back in time. I started with services. Services have served me well, but there's a lot of great profitability in products. And there's some scalability advantages there that are not available in services, but we can talk about that a different day. So capture management is the process. Government contracting is not hard, but you need to have process and strategy. You got a lot of folks who are consuming information all over YouTube and elsewhere. Some of the information is not aligned. Some of it conflicts, and you're getting confused. It's not the information. Do you need information? Yes, I'm not belittling information. First of all, you need the right information. You need legal information, ethical information, FAR compliant, federal acquisition regulation, FAR compliant, the government contracting Bible, FAR compliant information, but you need process and strategy. That is the difference maker. That determines those who are long-term winners and losers. Anybody can get lucky one time. But one of the things I pride myself on is helping my students understand a streamlined process and helping them cultivate strategy. The goal is for you not to need me long-term. My goal is to give you all the information that you can apply to your government contracting business. You decide later you want to build another business. A lot of the core frameworks we're going to use and I'm going to teach you can be applied in any business. As many of you know, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I made an admission to my students that I didn't mean to make, but I'm a serial entrepreneur and I'm in some very diverse areas. But a lot of the core frameworks that I do government contracting with, and some of the things that I've learned as government contractor has made me a great entrepreneur, in other areas. But again, do you have a strong foundation based on process and strategy? Process, strategy, process, strategy. Why are we doing what we're doing? Do we know when we're doing it? And do we know why we're doing it? Which is why I reject the council to just go on sam.gov and put a proposal in. Now, people are doing it. I'm happy people are getting into the fray, but in our courses, we speak at great length about some of that. And I don't want to belabor the conversation here. So let's keep moving. So capture management, the process, again, process, gathering insights, building connections, developing competitive intelligence, and strategizing. Now, I have my students doing this, but they don't even realize I really am walking them through a process. I'm just telling them I need you to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this is why. But I'm walking them through a process unbeknownst to many of them. And when they have questions, I help them with strategy to implement the process we've already established. Moving on. Do you have customer intimacy? Number one, do we know who our customer is? And if you are adopting a strategy of just going on sam.gov and just putting in random proposals, I already know you don't have any customer intimacy. They don't know you. And you definitely don't know them. And just because you know their name, Department of Army, U.S. Postal Service, Federal Bureau of Investigation, USDA, CDC, the list goes on, Health and Human Services, NIH, whoever your customer may be, VA, Department of Veteran Affairs, just because you know their name, you can say it, does not mean, and spell it, does not mean you have customer intimacy. Do they know you, and do you know them? There's a mantra. We do business with people we like and we trust. Don't believe me? Get ready. Say you have a problem with your roof. Your roof begins leaking. You've had this roof on the house for however long. More than likely, you're going to get the referral of a friend of who put their roof on. And normally, not all the time, normally, if they had a great experience, it's a high probability that you're going to use the same person that was referred to you, as long as they don't do something to take you off or their price is just absorbent or something crazy. But all things being aligned, there's a strong possibility that you're going to do business with them. That's why word of mouth is so powerful. But again, there's some level of intimacy. You may not have a personal relationship with them, but someone that you know, like, and trust does. So the probability, the possibility of you using that company to put that roof on your home, in our fictitious example, is higher than someone you just found on by Googling. Very strong possibility. So we have to approach our government contracting businesses the same way. People do business with people they like and they trust. So when we have customer intimacy, I know them, they know me, I can identify influencers and key decision makers within the organization. This doesn't matter if we're talking prime, it doesn't matter if we're talking sub, it doesn't matter if we're talking state government, commercial work, doesn't matter. There's always a financial leader, there's always a technical leader, and there's always an executive leader. So when we have customer intimacy, we're going to be better positioned to building relationship and rapport with these people. Now, why do we want to build relationship and rapport? Because we want to identify and come up with solutions to resolve pain points. Now, if we're going through the RFP process, you're going to you're going to write, you're going to articulate those pain points and potential solutions in your RFP. That's why we do this, because we want to, I'm going to use a word, I don't have time to talk about it here. We want to shape the requirement. See, if I've done my job as a government contractor and you see this opportunity on sam.gov, but you've never talked to the decision makers or the influencers of that RFP, and I have, I've already put my discriminators in the RFP unbeknownst to you. So it's better aligned that I'm in a more power position because I've shaped the requirement. And I'll be able to do my job in a profitable manner because I've identified or have a good idea what the IGE is, the independent government estimate. Because before the government puts out an opportunity on the street, they have a very good idea of what it's going to cost. And see, if you haven't done your homework, you'll low bid an opportunity to the dirt, and then you'll fight trying to keep it because it's completely unprofitable for you. You're making $1,000 a month, but you're spending 40, 60 hours a month doing this job. That's unprofitable. You might as well go get a job. And that is what I am against. And I'm seeing far too much of that. People putting 1,000 or 6,000. Now, when we start talking about putting $1,000 on top of a contract, that amount of money is spread out over 12 months in most cases, especially we're talking about service-based contracts. So if you just put a nominal figure on there, you'll find out, oh man, I put $6,000 on it. You gave yourself $500 a month. Who's doing a job and being accountable to the federal government for $500 a month with the risk of contract for default, termination for default, or termination for convenience? And then you'll find companies with a string of terminations for convenience because the government was being nice. They could have terminated for default because in most times when you do crazy stuff like just put a random nominal figure on top, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no clue what's happening. And a lot of those folks' contracts are terminated and they fight to keep the work. And I can give you horror story after horror story about this. I'm not telling you something that I read. I'm telling you conversations of people I've talked to. But this goes back to lack of customer intimacy. Because if I have intimacy with my customer, they're going to reveal some of their secrets to me. Not anything illegal. They're going to tell me where the pain is. Because I'm not coming in as a salesperson. I'm coming in as a solution provider. I'm coming in as a partner. I'm coming in with, I see you have this pain. I want to remove this pain. And how do I best help you with this? And do the customer requirements align with your core competency? See, in customer intimacy, you may find this is not something I should be pursuing because I'm not the best person for this job. Be willing to walk away. Every contract may not be the right contract for you. Let me move on. Competitive landscape. Do you know who your competition is? Have you identified probable competitors? If you just saw it on sam.gov 2 days ago, you have not. Who do you anticipate competing against? See, when you know your space, when you know your lane, you know your competition. See, if you played football in the SEC, you know who your potential competitors are. If you played high school volleyball, if you're a female, you know what teams y'all compete against. But it baffles me when folks enter into the government contracting space, they don't take the time to understand who their potential would-be competitors are based on size, scope, and complexity. We don't do basic business planning, but you want to be a government contractor. So if you don't know who your competition is, how do you develop your competitive advantage? How are you going to stand out in the fray? Oh, I get it. You're just gonna bid the contracts in the dirt and barely be profitable. That's your strategy? I hope not. But that's what I'm seeing a lot of these new government contractors do. They bidding contracts in the dirt, leaving all kinds of money on the table. They don't know. But it's amazing to me, if we go back to high school sports, we understood the competition. But you come into the business world, which is the ultimate sport. Business is the ultimate sport. I don't care what nobody say. And the great thing about the business world, I don't have to retire at 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. I can keep going. And business is a contact sport. But you don't know your competitive advantage because you don't even know who your competitors are. So if you're in the IT space and you're under the NAICS code 541 511, first of all, it has a certain size standard, and it has certain people that can play in that space. Or say you're 541-990. That's a $15 million size standard. And if you're a small business, there's certain people who play in that space, doing certain types of work. You see those names show up all the time, the same subs, the same primes, but you don't know the space. But you're ready to put a bid in, but you don't know the space. You haven't studied the competition. And so because you haven't studied the competition, you don't know what your competitive advantage even is. So you can't even highlight those things in your proposal response. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities? That's your competitors' weaknesses. I'm just saying. Once I know my strengths and my weaknesses, I can identify what my discriminators and differentiators are. But see, if I know who I'm playing against, if I know I'm going head to head with company X, and I know that they have these challenges, I can highlight those things in my response and in my conversations with the government. I'm just saying. Sun Tzu said, know thyself and know thy enemy. Let me paraphrase it for government contractors. Know your business and know who your competitors are. Sun Tzu said, when you're strong, appear weak, and when you're weak, appear strong. But you can't do that if you don't know the competitive landscape you're competing in. Based on the competitive mix, that's what determines who I place on the team. Not because I called up 3 companies and asked them for a quote and their quote was favorable to me. This is the crazy stuff I be hearing, y'all. Again, I don't be looking for this stuff. This stuff finds me. You pick your teammates based on your competitive advantage and your own assessment of your strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats that are prevalent in the market. You pick your teammates not based on their cost or who picked up the phone. You pick your teammates based on the value you're trying to provide to your customer, because you have customer intimacy and you want to give them a strong and robust offering. And then, do the teammates you're picking, do they even provide a potential conflict of interest? See, I know the other YouTube channels ain't talking like this. I know they're not, because a potential conflict of interest can occur if you have a company who's doing contract administration work at that same agency and they're seeing all of the contracts across that agency. You have an unfair advantage because you understand pricing. Those teams, that teammate probably can't be on your team because they give you an unfair competitive advantage. Or in the engineering space, it may be a CETA contract. See, but if you don't know the competitive landscape, you don't even know that person just tied your hands in the competitive pool because you didn't know the space. You just called 3 companies and they gave you a quote and you picked the middle one. I don't know where they do this stuff at, but this is the stuff that I hear all the time. And you have coaches teaching this. These are newbie, unsophisticated strategies. Let's move along. Once I know my customer and I know my competitor, I know the competitive landscape, I need to do a robust capability assessment for the opportunity. Now, I'm doing this for each opportunity, by the way. This is the work. Again, government contracting is not hard, but everyone just wants to put pen to paper and put in a bid. We have no customer intimacy. We don't know the competitive landscape, and you have not done a capability assessment on yourself. Do the capabilities that I have align with the needs of my customer, and how does it stack up against the competitive fray? What are your key discriminators? What are they? I'm gonna give you one, because small business tell me, I'm small, Dr. Kurt. I don't have any discriminators. I said, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And they said, I don't know any. And I said, first of all, small is not a problem. That means you're agile. Your organizational structure is flat. So one of your discriminators is if they have a problem, they can pick up the phone and call you. See, when you start dealing with the large businesses, there's so many levels of bureaucracy. It takes some time to get to the decision maker. You know that most of the major contracts have a program manager, but let's just say the problem, that the depth of it, the breadth of it needs higher level oversight. It takes a long time sometimes to get to the upper levels of a higher organization. On our contracts, we put a program manager, maybe a deputy program manager in place based on the size, scope, and complexity of the contract. And so within 2 phone calls, they got me. If my program manager can't meet your needs, you have my personal cell phone number. And if the problem cannot be addressed over the phone, I will be there within 24 to 48 hours. I'll hop on the plane, depending on what time you call me. And I'll see you within 24 to 48 hours. But I will talk to you the same day. I'm just saying. That's not something that the large businesses can offer. But smalls tell me, I don't have any discriminators, Dr. Kurt. Yes, you do. But if you don't know your customer and what's important to them, if you don't understand the competitive pool and who you're competing against, you're not going to be able to do a proper capability analysis and determine what your discriminators are. Based on your capability and based on your discriminators, hopefully you can come out with a niche solution, a niche capability, some unique way of solving the government's problem, hopefully without an exorbitant cost. Might be a little bit of a price premium, but hopefully not exorbitant cost. And the government wants creativity. The government wants solutions, but you want to give them this rock bottom price that doesn't even align to the contract type. It's a conversation for a whole different day. It's a conversation for a different day. I'm not even going to open the can up. But once you understand these things, you're going to come up with a technical approach. We call this solutioning. So when I write a proposal and I respond back to the proposal based on sections L and M, and I'm tailoring to section C, which is the statement of work or the performance workstation statement, I'm tailoring in our specific solution. But see, you thought you were just putting words on the page and just repeating language outlining the statement of work, because that's what your unsophisticated coach told you. No, you were supposed to be weaving in a unique solution that speaks to the pain points that you understood during those meetings with the key decision makers, because you have customer intimacy. Let me just say this. You don't have to have customer intimacy all the time, but if you don't, then someone on your team does. So you pick teammates based on the gaps in your capability, based on that solution. So every contract I've won didn't mean that I had past performance with that customer, but somebody on my team did. Because we got to be able to speak to the hot buttons, the pain points, the value drivers of that solution, of that customer. What may not be a pain point for customer A may be a pain point for customer B. That's why this is not a one size fits all approach. And I'm supposed to be explaining my technical approach in my proposal. And I'm also supposed to be explaining my management approach. But then I find these coaches who can't even tell you how to manage a contract. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. There's a couple of things you should be doing. And there's ways to do it. There's whole books written on this. The PMBOK, the Program Management Body of Knowledge, is a great place to start, by the way, because I know that the other coaches watch my site, and I'm hoping that they will catch a clue. But what we're supposed to be doing is balancing costs, schedule, and performance. From cradle to grave of the contract. Project management begins, if this is a contract that had a previous winner, it begins at incumbent capture. When I'm doing the handoff, it starts there. And it ends all the way at contract closeout at the end, when I'm closing out the contract, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. After the contract's over, there's work still to be done to make sure we've accounted for every dollar that was spent, all of the equipment that we may have used from the government customer. Was it on a government site or a contractor site? Let me just keep moving. Last but not least, we have to do a value assessment. What are our value drivers? Now, value includes but it's not limited to cost. When we have understood the customer, we got customer intimacy. When we understand the competitive landscape and we understand our capabilities, we're going to be able to establish a cost. And that cost is not established by putting some random numerical value on top of historical market intelligence data that I found in USA Spending, because the last person won it at $99,000. I'm gonna make mine $89,999. That's crazy. You don't even understand the cost structure that company had. Whether they're a large business or small business. If they're a large business, they can do some creative things with the cost pools. If you're a small business, you don't have that creativity in the cost pools, and your rap rate probably looks different. Have you established a cost to compete? This is where it gets a lot of companies in trouble. You need to, when you put that bid in, you need to know that all of your costs are going to be covered. I remember we bid a piece of work. It was $100 million bid, and we bid it around about $92 million. The company came in at $75 million, and they won the contract. And when I seen the winning award price, I scratched my head and I said, "There's no way they're going to be profitable," and they were not, by the way. And I said they're going to have serious performance issues. So what did they do? They won the bid, and they immediately went into all of the incumbents, and they asked everyone had to take a haircut on their salary. So I'm gonna just make up a number just for sake of protecting the innocent. Let's just say everyone on the contract was making, all of the support personnel on the contract before this new company won was making $100,000. The new company won the contract, made everyone take an immediate haircut, and cut all of the salaries to $65,000. And had a major recruiting problem because they couldn't recruit people to do this kind of work. It was cyber work and some other stuff to do this kind of work at their price. And they caught the Dickens with that contract. And when I saw the price, I said, they're going to have performance issues. So when you bid contracts in the dirt, new businesses can't afford to do this. The larger businesses sometimes can. That money still has to come from somewhere, because those costs are those costs. So if it doesn't come out of the contract, if you don't have the money in the contract, it should be coming from equity, meaning someone has some money in the bank, lines of credit somewhere to facilitate that cost differential. Now, I don't advise this, but you can take a contract at cost, but it needs to be a very strong and compelling reason to do that. And this is not something I advise new businesses to do, especially these government contracts that are brand new. I do not advise this at all. But it is not uncommon for larger businesses, a Lockheed Martin, a Raytheon, to take and fulfill a contract, the differential, out of equity. But this should not be a strategy that new businesses are incorporating. And the sad part is they don't even know that's the strategy they're incorporating. But they have not been trained, they have not been educated, and many times where they're getting education from doesn't know. So sometimes the instructor who's guiding their journey can't even advise them on the proper way to do this. But I digress. Does the solution align with the proposed cost? Now, so what solution are you talking about, Kurt? Remember, previous screen I talked about when you understand your capability. Now, when I understand my capability and I understand the customer and I understand the competitive landscape, I should be able to begin to come up with a solution. The solution is typically understood before the RFP even drops. And all I'm doing is weaving my solution into the proposal because I'm speaking to the pain points. I'm speaking to the value drivers of that customer. But this is how we win and sustain government contracts. I see a lot of new government contractors just simply going on sam.gov, finding something that matches their NAICS codes and just bidding, 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 bidding. And many of them, they just get worn out and exhausted bidding. And then when they do finally win, they catch the dickens trying to keep the contract because the pricing is off. And then I'll get the DM or the message via email or LinkedIn or some social media platform asking for help. I've seen this once, I've seen it 1,000 times at this point. So I hope this information was helpful, and I hope you took away something from this conversation. I really want to see you guys win. Government contracting literally, not figuratively, literally changed my life. And I know it can do the same for you. I know it can. But we have to implement a process and a strategy. And hopefully you find a coach with know-how. I would love to serve as your coach, welcome you into the 8-figure GovCon Mastery 5X program to walk alongside you in your entrepreneurial journey. Now, if you have not already, I want you to subscribe, share, like, and hit the notification bell. So anytime I release a new video, you'll be notified immediately. I put this channel together for you guys. I heard your cries. I had friends in the industry say, man, Kurt, we need you to start producing content. Because I was producing content on Clubhouse during the pandemic. And, I run across people who remind me of the free content we gave away for free on Clubhouse. And many people were truly impacted as a result. So to better serve the needs of those who are interested, I put together 8-figure GovCon to better meet your needs. And I look forward and I welcome the opportunity to serve you in your government contracting journey. Now, one of the videos I'm going to link up here at the end of the video is going to be one of the videos that's going to walk you through my process. It's called Government Contracting Made Easy. I'm going to link that up at the end of this video. And if you're interested in working with me, I encourage you to watch that video and really consider, if you're really serious about this space, really consider if that is the program you want to pursue with me. I'm going to lead you. We're going to do, of course, there's 25 plus hours of on-demand content. We're going to do 2 Zooms every month where I'm going to do Q&A. I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to also do some exercises. Everything we're going to do, this is not busy work. This is designed to help lower your learning curve and get you out the gate faster. When I got started in government contracting, it took me about 2 years to figure this out. And when I finally figured it out, I was off and on my way. But my goal is to get you where you need to be faster, sooner, quicker, more efficiently. That's my goal. Now, you have to do the work. But if you're willing to do the work, you're willing to persevere, you're willing to be teachable, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you find success. And I will welcome the opportunity to travel alongside you in that journey. But that's enough for today. I'll see you in future videos, and go back and watch some of my future videos, some of my past videos, and my future videos for that matter. And I'll see you in a future government contracting video. Until next time.